Grimworld presents Alex Murdaugh. In South Carolina, where the murder of his wife Maggie and their son Paul took place, is being called the trial of the century. Alex Murdaugh was a prominent lawyer and part of a powerful legal dynasty. June 2021. He said he came home to find them dead, shot by 2 different guns. A boat accident. The family is now under fire. A possible fall or push, embezzlement, and murder. Can this case get any more twisted? This is the story of Murdaugh family double murders. Off a country road, the jury goes on a trip to Moselle Farm, the Murdaugh family hunting lodge. Alex, Margret, Maggie, Buster, Paul, and their family dog Bubba used to live there. The jury go on a tour of the house, making sure to visit the kennels where Maggie and Paul were killed. Paul was killed with a shotgun and Maggie just yards away with a rifle. The Murdaugh family had been practicing law since 1910 when Randolph Murdaugh Sr. founded the PMPED law firm. This is the firm that Alex worked for before he was found to have been stealing millions in fees from clients and the firm. During the investigation, Murdaugh offered a theory about why Paul had been shot. He told investigators about a boat wreck that had put Paul in a bad or negative light around town, as well as affecting the rest of his family. The boat accident happened around 2:20 a.m. on February 24, 2019, killing 19-year-old Mallory Beach when she went overboard. 6 friends set out for a spin on the Murdaugh's boat, eventually crashing into a bridge pylon that was sticking out of the water. During the investigation, the events of the night came out. Earlier in the evening, Paul uses his older brother's Buster ID so that he could go buy a beer, and then the friends go to a party for several hours. Then they decide they would go out on the boat. While on board, Paul and his friend Connor continue drinking. According to Michael Dewitt, editor of the Hampton Bay Guardian, around 1 a.m. the group were spotted on closed-circuit camera leaving the boathouse and getting onto the boat. Later at 1:15 a.m., tempers flare while sailing as Paul argues with his friends who did not want him to drive the boat. His girlfriend does not take his side, so Paul slaps her across the face. The way she reacts to it, she had been hit before. In the chaos, everyone crying, scared, and worried for their missing friend, Officer Stephen Domino was one of the first on the scene. He talked to Mallory's boyfriend, Anthony Cook. Anthony sees Paul and starts to charge him at the scene in anger. A week later, Mallory's body was found. From this time, Paul became public enemy number 1 within the community since they wanted Paul to be held accountable for his actions. He was becoming a problem for the family. The Murdaugh family had a long history of getting family members out of trouble. Paul was not the first Murdaugh Alex got out of trouble. Buster, the older brother, was rumored to be involved with a 19-year-old openly gay teen, Stephen Smith. Smith was rumored to have called Buster because he had car trouble on the night. Buster was said to have gone to pick up Stephen with a few others when Stephen was hit by a car in a hit-and-run accident. The body was found laying in the middle of the road. His skull was fractured, his legs weren't broken, and his shoes were still on. Even if a car is going slow when it hits you, the force will send your shoes flying off. Buster escaped charges for the hit and run in 2015. Being the favorite child, his parents may have also helped him with other bad behavior. The Murdaughs were enabling the escalating bad behavior, with the boys learning their behavior has no consequences for them. A month after Mallory's death, her family filed a wrongful death suit against Paul and other members of the Murdaugh family. During the trial, Paul's friend Connor Cook states in his deposition that night Paul was acting rash and reckless. He continues to say that he never told the police who had been driving because he was scared. He went on to state at the hospital Alex Murdaugh who had told him not to say anything about who was driving. Then he went from room to room talking to everyone who had been hit on the boat so that they would be on the same page. Paul was being loud and belligerent to nurses and staff. His blood alcohol level was determined 3 times the legal limit, Paul was eventually charged for the death of Mallory, posted his $50,000 bond, and went home. 2 years passed waiting for the trial to start, causing the community to grow to hate Paul. On June 7, 2021, gunfire erupted on the family estate. At 10:06 p.m., a frantic Alex calls 911, telling the operator he had just arrived home to find Maggie and Paul dead. Caroline, a friend of Maggie, had to call her godson Buster to break the news of the deaths to him. The Murdaugh family have deep ties with local law enforcement due to Alex's legal career. Due to his ties, the state insisted that another agency take over the investigation. Shelley West, another friend of Maggie, had thought Alex could have murdered them. Caroline also recounted a strange conversation with Alex at the funeral. Alex commented that Paul wasn't going to have his day in court. He wasn't going to get a chance to clear his name. A $100,000 reward was offered by Alex to encourage anyone with information to come forward. Maggie had consulted a divorce attorney, making investigators question their marriage. After having a forensic accountant look at the family and business dealing, the accountant did find that there were many unpaid bills. Friends and family say that they have never heard anything about marital problems. This is always the first guess when crimes happen between married people. The Murdaugh longtime family lawyer said that he had never heard anything about any marital issues, so the thought was that the deaths were a retaliation for the death of Mallory Beach. While investigators started figuring the who and why of the murder, 911 was called about another Murdaugh family member was under attack. Only 3 months after the murder, Alex was found to have been shot in the head. On the way to the hospital, Alex was having a conversation that was body cammed. Someone in a pickup stopped to ask if he needed help with a flat tire and was shot in the head. On September 6, 2021, 2 days after being shot, Alex released a statement. "I have made many decisions I regret," and he'd resigned from the family law firm. He also entered rehab for an opioid addiction, which he had been struggling with for about 20 years, taking about 60 pills a day. After time, you get used to the level of drugs and you start needing more and more to get the same high. You even act normal if the level of drugs is stable. We only really see symptoms during the withdrawal. Taking that many pills should cause an overdose because opioids are known to slow respiration, eventually stopping breathing. The firm suspects that Alex was stealing about $8.5 million in legal fees from clients. On the day of the double murder, Alex was confronted about his actions. 3 months later, on the day he was shot in the head, the firm confronted him again. More bizarre news. Alex tried to hire his distant cousin, Curtis Smith, to shoot him so that it would look like murder, allowing Buster to collect the $10 million life insurance policy payout. It is unclear how Alex was shot. Curtis didn't do it. He turned Alex down, though he was charged in connection with the shooting. He never entered a plea. On September 16, 2021, facing charges of insurance fraud, conspiracy, and filing a false police report, Alex turned himself in, was released on bond, and went back to rehab. At this time, investigators start looking into all of Murdaugh business dealings. The investigators found another suspicious death, that of Gloria Satterfield. She was the longtime housekeeper for more than 20 years. She even helped in raising Paul, since Maggie was seemingly indifferent to Paul. Ronnie Victor, attorney for the Satterfield family, said that in 2018, the 57-year-old died 2 weeks after falling on the front stairs, tripping on one of the dogs playing. Her death was ruled natural, and no autopsy was performed. What is natural about dying from a fall in your 50s? At Gloria's funeral, Alex talked to her son and told him to file a wrongful death suit against him, and even recommended a friend, Corey Fleming. Murdaugh went on to sue his insurance company on the Satterfield family's behalf, though he never shared any of the $15 million payout. Alex pocketed the money, never telling the Satterfield family about the money. Today, the Satterfield family believe Gloria's death may not have been an accident and are contesting the story of what happened. One theory of her death, Gloria was cleaning the bedroom and found a baggie of cocaine under the mattress. She went to Maggie. Maggie, getting upset over the drugs, confronts Alex, and Gloria was killed to keep her quiet. Was she pushed? Alex was charged with 2 felony counts of insurance fraud. This time the judge denied bond. As he sat in jail waiting, he was indicted on even more charges. Then in July 2022, Alex was charged with the murder of his wife and son. Maggie's family was happy to see the case was moving forward. January 26, 2023, 19 months after the night of the murders, the trial starts. The scene caught on the officer's body cam. Prosecutor Clayton Waters used to show the scene. The male was laying outside a small shed in a large pool of blood that he had formed around the body. The female was laying about 3 yards away towards the end of the driveway. At the scene, Alex was interviewed, crying and emotional, told officers about his night. Paul was shot first, twice at close range with a shotgun outside the feeding area of the kennel. Maggie was killed with a .300 blackout rifle, once in the side and a second shot in the head. Earlier, he had spent time with Paul riding around the property. After Maggie came home, he dozed on the couch. When he woke and couldn't find anyone, he left to go see his mom. Upon returning to the house and still finding no one around, he thought that they may have driven down to the dog kennel. When he got to the dog kennel, he found Maggie and Paul dead. Detective Laura Rutland, who was on the scene, believed Alex's hands and clothes were too clean for having touched the body as he had indicated. The family, avid hunters, having about 25 guns on the property, while investigators searched the house for evidence, they found bullets and shell casings that matched the ones from the murders. The guns, though, were never found. Investigators were also looking for Maggie's cell phone since it was missing from the scene. The day after the phone was found on the side of the road a half a mile from the Murdaugh property, the 3 phones were analyzed. It was found that at 7:56 p.m., Paul sent a Snapchat video of his dad to a friend. At 8:30 p.m., Paul's phone moves towards the kennel, calling, texting, exchanging funny Snapchats with friends as he went. At 8:40 p.m., there was a 4-minute call with a friend who claims he heard Alex in the background. Alex was asked had he been to the kennel that night. He just replied no. In November 2022, a break in the case. A video of a friend's dog staying at the Murdaugh kennel at 8:44 p.m., just minutes before the murder. Alex is clearly heard in the background calling Bubba, the family dog. It was proved that Alex was not actually with his mom, but with his family about 5 minutes before the murder, prosecutors presented during the trial. The time of death was estimated at 8:49 p.m. based on the last time the victim's cell phones locked. This video changes the timeline and disproves his alibi. In fact, it was found that he didn't actually arrive at his mom's place until after 9 p.m. While at his mother's, Alex made phone calls to family and friends, including 5 calls to Maggie. These calls seemed to be an attempt to cover up the murder. On the day of the murders, Alex was confronted about his embezzlement by the firm. He was due in court that week, the $10 million wrongful death suit for Mallory Beach's family. Mark Kingley, attorney for the Beach family, testified in the murder trial that in the wake of the murders, the wrongful death suit would have gone away. Alex, against legal advice, testified on his own behalf. His attorney, Jim Griffin, questioned Alex about whether he killed his family. Murdaugh answered, "No, I didn't kill Maggie. I didn't kill Paul. I would never hurt Maggie. I would never hurt Paul. If you are saying that, you would never do something. You did that something." After the video was presented, Murdaugh was forced to admit that he had in fact been with his family just minutes before they were shot. He admitted that he had lied, and once he lied, he felt that he was forced to continue the lie. He felt compelled to lie because of his addiction, spending thousands a week, taking up to 60 pills a day. During the 6-hour cross-examination, Alex was shown to have a long history of lying to those he had stolen from. He was now forced to create a new story that now goes with the facts he is presented with. Also presented at trial, Alex had taken 288 steps between 9:03 p.m. and 9:06 p.m., which was most likely before he had left for his mother's place. Also, it was by far more steps than at any other point during the day. What was he doing during this 3-minute window? The defense presented as a devoted family man who coaches Little League. In closing statements, The defense leaned into the idea that with the two guns means that there are two shooters, claimed that D.A. Waters presented false evidence to the grand jury, and Alex is being framed. The prosecution presented as a liar, and he will lie to anyone and everyone. He has fooled everyone as well as his family. After a 6-week trial and 75 witnesses, the jury only took 3 hours to hand down a verdict of guilty for Alex Murdaugh. The jury is polled at the end of the trial, and only 3 of the 12 jurors were in favor of not guilty, but were very quickly swayed. At sentencing, he received 2 consecutive life terms. Thank you for listening to the Murdaugh family double murders. Don't forget to subscribe.